How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over my net worth, income, and spending for the month of November. And we're going to be doing all of this using the Mint app. The Mint app is a budgeting app that I use, and it's really helpful to track your finances. And no, this isn't a sponsored video, I just love the app. So first, we're going to go over all of the accounts I use to actually put my money into. Then we'll go over my income for the month of November. After that, we'll look at my budget and my spending habits for November. And finally, at the end, I'll calculate my net worth at the end of November 2020, and I'm going to be doing all of this using the Mint app, as I said before. And real quick, if you are new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Nick, and I make personal finance and investing videos here on YouTube so you guys can understand money better. Okay, so let's get right into my accounts. So first, I'll go over my cash accounts. So what I mean by this is my checking and savings accounts. Now, unlike most people, I don't use the same bank for both my checking and savings. That's because a lot of savings accounts at traditional banks don't give you a great interest rate that you can get elsewhere. So I have my normal checking account that I use every day for random things, and then I also have my Discover High Yield Savings account. That Discover Savings account has a way better interest rate than my normal bank does for a savings account. So that's pretty normal. Everyone usually has a checking and savings. Now let's go into my investment accounts. So first, I have a normal brokerage account with two different brokerages that I use to trade stocks. The main one I've been using for a while is the Robinhood app. This is great for beginner investors. It's really easy to use, and I've just been using it for a while. I also have another brokerage app called Webull. It's a little bit more advanced than Robinhood, so I use that for other things such as tracking stocks, looking at charts, and all of that. Now remember, later in this video, I'm going to go over my net worth, and that includes these investment accounts, checking and savings accounts, so you'll see how much money I have allocated to all of them. And then my final investment account is my retirement account. So I basically have a 401k that my employer provides, and I actually contribute to that Roth, so that's after tax. That basically means that I'll be taxed now on that money I contribute, but later when I want to take the money out for retirement, it won't be taxed at all. Okay, so those were all of my accounts I keep my money in, and then just to throw in here, I use 3 separate credit cards for all of my purchases. I never use a debit card for anything. Now there's 2 reasons for that. One, credit cards are safer and it's easier to get money back if there's any fraud going on. And second, and more importantly, I use all of my credit cards to gain cash back and point rewards. I have a bunch of old videos talking about points, how you can get them from credit cards, and what credit cards are the best to do this. So that was an overview of my finances. Now we're gonna go into my income for November 2020. All right, so my income for November 2020 was around $5,700. Now this includes my full-time job and YouTube. Now the portion from my full-time job is after contributions to my retirement account, dental insurance, and taxes taken out. Now the money I get from YouTube, it's actually Google AdSense paying me because Google owns YouTube. Now that money does not have any tax withholdings. So that means when I go to do my taxes, I'm going to have to do it like that whole chunk of money hasn't been taxed yet. So when I do get paid from YouTube, I make sure that a large portion of that is going to go towards taxes, so I immediately throw that into my savings account. Okay, to recap, my income for November was around $5,700. Now we're gonna go into the Mint app. That's a budgeting app that I use, and we're gonna see my actual budget and spending for November 2020. All right, so we're gonna hop into the Mint app. This is Intuit Mint, and this is how I do all of my budgeting and spend tracking. So you can see here, this is my November 2020 budget, and you can see I have about $4,000 budgeted. That's $4,022. So we're just gonna scroll down, look through my budget first, and then I'm gonna go into some of these categories and show you my transactions. So we see alcohol and bars first, that's $50. Auto payment $495, that's for my Audi A3. And then business services, I put this in here because sometimes I do spend money for YouTube, so I'll include it there if I do. But let's keep moving on. So you see coffee shops here, and I usually have that at $0. I try to spend $0 going out for coffee because I do have a coffee machine here and it's way cheaper to make coffee at home, but I did spend about $50 this month. I'll go into that in a little bit. Let's keep going down. I have fast food at $125, gas and fuel around $75, groceries at $200, gym $0, miscellaneous $348, mortgage and rent around $1,900, restaurants at $300, and my student loan around $415. And I also put in there utilities at around $100. Okay, so let's first talk about some of the expenses that I know will happen every single month. So first, we have my mortgage and rent. That's just my rent for my apartment right now, and that's usually $1,913, but I do see it's $2 extra this month. Maybe they added some fees or some service charges, so I'll check on that later. But yes, that is around $1,900 for that every single month. And then, as I said before, I have my auto payment, so that's $495 for my car, and I know that will happen every single month. Now, another expense I have in here is $416 to my student loan every single month. This is kind of misleading because my employer does give me money towards this student loan, but it just comes in my paycheck, so I have to budget for it either way. Now, for some other expenses, I have alcohol and bars here, and I spent $56 out of my allocated $50 for that. So let's check this out. We see Virginia ABC store. I actually bought some alcohol as a present for a friend's birthday, so that makes sense. And then I also went to a brewery as well. If we go back, we can see coffee shops. Now let's see what I actually bought at different coffee shops. We see Dunkin' Donuts 15, Starbucks 15, Dunkin' Donuts 15. These are all probably the auto renews in the apps. I actually use the apps when I do go to these coffee shops, so that's just them auto renewing the account from my normal banking accounts. All right, this is a big one, fast food. I've been trying to go out to get food less, and we actually see I was a bit under my budget, just $7 left in the budget, but let's see in fast food what I've been doing. Okay, so we can see a lot of orders at the local bagel shop, and that's only a few dollars each time I go. There's also Five Guys, Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, all the normal things that I usually eat when I'm on the go. So that's not too bad for fast food, but now let's go look at restaurants. That is also under budget, which I'm kind of surprised we have other local restaurants in here. So that's interesting to see, but there's nothing too surprising in here either. And then we also see miscellaneous expenses, gas and fuel, groceries. These are all normal things, and I basically throw everything that isn't in one of these categories into miscellaneous expenses. So most things that are in this miscellaneous expenses is presents for the holiday season, so I'm not going to go into that and actually show you the expenses. Okay, so those were all of my normal expenses. One expense that didn't make it into Mint was a $5,000 check that I needed to pay for an earnest money deposit on a house. I'm going to be doing some videos on this in the future, but I did buy a house, and that $5,000 is basically like a security deposit so I don't back out of the contract. And this whole buying a house thing is also why I haven't really moved any money into my savings for November. I want to make sure I have all that money in my account so I can do the down payment, closing costs, and all of that. Okay, so let's quickly touch on my savings and investments. As I just said, I didn't put any money into savings this month, but I do contribute to my retirement account every month, so I put about $700 in my retirement account for November. I also threw $100 into my investment account, Webull. When I do this net worth, budgeting, and spending video for future months, you'll see a lot more activity in this savings and investments category, but just because I'm buying a house right now, that's not the case. Okay, so now that we're done with my budget and spending for November of 2020, we're going to go over my net worth. Now, for those of you that don't know, net worth is basically all of the assets and cash you have. If you sold them all, you'd have this chunk of money, and that's basically your net worth. Okay, so the way I've done this, I basically went through all of my accounts and other things and took the number on the last day of November, and that's what I'm gonna be using to calculate my net worth. So let's start with my cash accounts. That's my checking and savings accounts put together. So at the end of November, I had $51,750 in those accounts combined. Then in both my brokerage investing accounts, my Robinhood account and Webull account put together, I had in total a bit above $12,000. In my retirement account, I had just below $40,000 at the end of November. And to round it out, I have my car. So I actually do include this in my net worth. So I still have a loan on the car, but if I were to sell it today, I'd be able to pay off the full loan and then get $2,000 extra dollars. So I'm going to add $2,000 to my net worth calculation. Now in future months, once I do close on this house, I'll have my big chunk of money in the house. So I'm also going to be including that into my net worth as well. So in total, my net worth at the end of November 2020 is estimated to be around $104,000. And that's with my full-time job and then YouTube, which I recently started at the beginning of 2020. If you guys like this video, go hit that like button down below and comment letting me know that you want me to do this every single month. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.